David Bufford, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
David, you're asking voters to trust you with one of the most powerful positions in the county. Why should they?
I have the experience. I have the servant's heart to do the job. I know what needs to be done. I want to be always open and honest, as I always have been with the public at Lonoke County. At one time I was the public information officer there. I did that several years. And I was the first one to say, hey, we made a mistake if we did. I answered every question. But like I said, I have the knowledge, I have the desire to do the job. I had never really thought about running for sheriff. I kind of joked about it through the years, just kind of kidding around. I have a good job now in law enforcement. I really enjoy what I'm doing, but with the Lonoke County has been absolutely demonized in social media the past year, maybe a little bit longer, and honestly it breaks my heart. When I was there, especially at the beginning under the current sheriff, we worked so hard to build the trust, and we had the trust of the public. I left about, 3.5 years ago. I saw some stuff that I just couldn't deal with. It was being brought out on social media, but nothing was changing. So I backed away from there, and this is the first sheriff's election, and here I am.
So what do you do now?
I'm a detective at a ward police department, and I'm a task force officer with a federal agency. I have federal authority, and I mainly investigate financial crimes against the elderly, and I do child predator cases. I have several that are pending in the federal court system now. I prefer taking them federal because the penalties are so much stiffer. When you arrest someone, such as any kind of child predator case, it's a no bond after the indictment, and they go to their initial appearance in federal court, and then they can request a bond hearing down the road. But even if they are allowed to bond, it's so restrictive on them. They immediately get ankle monitors. They're assigned release people, generally the federal probation people that keep watch on them. Very restrictive. The minimum mandatory sentences are 15 years in the federal prison system if found guilty, up to life. So there's so much more oomph to the federal system. The state of Arkansas has pretty strict laws on them now, but you have to go through the local prosecuting attorney. And honestly, right now, a lot of times they just get probation for 6 years. So that's not good enough. That's got to change.
Do you think that Lonoke County has a child predator problem?
I think it's the same everywhere. I've had several people ask me as I'm out talking to them. We do, in fact, we have 3 cases going just where I work. One is a federal case that came in Friday. And then there's 2 that are pending right now. They're local. They don't match the federal guidelines to go that route yet. I was guessing in the whole county of Lonoke County, maybe 5 to 6 cases a week for the whole entire county, all the jurisdictions. But I got corrected by another law enforcement person that does only child predator cases, and it's up 10 to 15 in the entire county a week. I mean, it's the absolutely crazy. Something has to change. And like I said, the generally on the local level, they get to plea out, which that's one thing that could be changed is not being able to make these sweetheart pleas in the state court. I think that really creates a lot of the problem on that side of it.
You said you work on about how many cases a week regarding child predators?
Well, the number that I gave is an estimate countywide. I do think that everywhere is having a huge problem with it. These social media sites have chat rooms. There's one in particular that is geared towards small kids to play games on, and the parents, some of them don't watch like they should. I'm not blaming the parents at all. You know, they think, hey, this is a kid's game and it's all right, but that name of that business is coming up a lot.
Can you name that business?
Are they going to come after me? For the safety of the kids, from what I have seen from experience, is Roadblocks. I don't know a whole lot about that site, but I do know that there's kids games on there, and I have talked to quite a few people. It's like, oh my goodness, my kids are on that. You need to get them off of it. Of course, now they're going to come back and sue me, but that's all right. It's for the safety of the kids. Come sue me. And that's based upon what I have seen. I don't know if they're addressing, getting that fixed. That's going to take lawmakers to get involved. As sheriff, I would use the power of the Sheriff's Association to get some of these laws changed and have the federal lawmakers go after these companies that are not necessarily allowing it, but they're not fixing the problem.
So you've made it clear that it's not just Lonoke County that has a child predator problem. It's all around the country, all around the nation. Specifically, though, in Lonoke County in 2024, one of your competitors for this position, also running against you, Aaron Spencer.
Correct.
His family has gone through what they call a child predator, and that situation ended up the way that it did. Do you think that could have been detained in a different way? What do you think the outcome could have been different?
I do. I will not on purpose, I will not put down Aaron Spencer. I will not put down John Staley or anybody I don't like. I'm not a politician like they're all saying, but I don't like putting anybody down. I was not in that position. I talked to Aaron the other night, Thursday night, after a meet and greet that we had, and I told Aaron, you were in the crappiest situation that any human being could be placed in. I told him I pray for him every night. Do I think I have two sides of how I look at that situation? Like I said, I wasn't there. I only, on that incident, I know that only what the public knows. I know I would not have handled it the same way. I've had a close, my nephew went through the same thing when he was young, and I do have permission to say my nephew. It was atrocious. The court systems handled it. The guy got life in prison, which is where he's at now, where he deserves to be. Did I want to choke him out? 100%. I don't, like I said, I hate that anybody was placed in that situation. Horrible situation. I'm not saying he was wrong. I really wished that it would have been handled differently. We wouldn't be where he is now. And even talking about that situation, it's tough.
Do you think, what do you think the sheriff's department could have done better?
As far as that situation, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. They contacted prosecuting attorney after interviews were done. They told the prosecuting attorney, hey, and I know this because I talked to one of the detectives, and that's out in the news too. They said what happened, you know, hey, this is what we've learned, and they made an immediate arrest on Mr. Fossler. Well, let me take that back. I think Cabot got him. I'm not 100% sure on that.
It was Cabot's case.
But as far as that night of the shooting, you know, they did what they were supposed to do. They abided by the law. The sheriffs do not make laws. I am extremely frustrated that the detective misplaced a memory card. And to be quite honest, I have voiced my opinion to them over the phone, and it has nothing to do with me running the sheriff. That is absolutely sloppy. I was told there was nothing on there, but you can say anything, in my opinion. I'm like everybody else. Well, you're going to have to prove it to me. Why was this camera placed on a shelf for, I heard, a year and not put into evidence? Why was the memory card lost? Come on. You know, no, they didn't do it on purpose. I don't believe that. There's no corruption in that side of it. I don't believe that. I used to work with these people. Was it sloppy? 100%. Horrible sloppy in a homicide, you know, arrest. Like I said, the sheriff's office has been absolutely demonized, and it's heartbreaking because when I was there, we worked so hard to build the public trust. We worked a lot of hours a day out working with the people. They trusted us. They would call us for help personally. They would give us information. They trusted us with that. Something has happened, and you know, I do know that there's a lot of good employees still down there, that they are absolutely brokenhearted over it. They're demoralized over what's going on Facebook and the other social media platforms, and it's really not fair to the hard-working people. Are there issues? 100%. Do they need to be corrected? They will be corrected. Do I know how to correct them? Yes, I do. I mean, I've got 30 years. The majority of that has been some type of supervisor, whether it's out on patrol, some of it's administrative. That detention center, that, Lord of mercy, I don't know what's going on with that detention center, because I'm reading the same thing everybody else is. And I don't think anybody's watching over it. I think these young kids are back there doing whatever they want to do. I'm hearing about rapes. I'm federal lawsuits, and I'm mad about it, because when that tax passed to pay for that jail, I actually asked the past sheriff, hey, can I open that jail? I had written all the policies, I did all the training, I did all the hiring to open that jail, and I ran it for 10 months, 11 months, give or take, and it wasn't perfect, but it was running good. We had no problems out of the inmates. The food was great. There was certainly no sexual assaults going on because I was back there with them. And like I said, I keep saying I'm mad about it because I worked so hard for the people, because that's how I conduct myself. And now I'm hearing all this stuff about, like I said, the lawsuits, the the incidents in the jail and things like that. And I know I can fix it. It's not going to happen overnight because it's a mess.
Why now? What made you decide this was the moment to run for sheriff?
Well, like I said, I had kind of joked about it through the years. I was hearing all the issues with the current sheriff. I did learn that some of it's true, some of it's not. It's just, Facebook stuff. And I'm like, no. Well, I think he's been there. He's been sheriff too long. He's gotten too comfortable. Like I said, I'm really not trying to talk bad about him. He's over the state sheriff's association now, and I think he has bigger dreams than being sheriff. And I think he's forgotten what he was elected to do, and I think it's too late for him to correct it in the public opinion. I had Mr. Spencer, this horrible situation happened. And I'm like, in my opinion, the only reason he's running for sheriff is to possibly assist with these charges. I think it's made a mockery of the system. I'm not putting him down. I don't blame him. I'm like...
So you don't think he's qualified?
No, honestly, as far as qualifications, no. He's not qualified to take that position. It's not, being sheriff is not a position nowadays. The past sheriff was he owned a feed store, and he had horrible bumps, learning curves. We had to teach him how to be sheriff. It was absolutely miserable, but it has gotten worse. You really have to have a good idea of, one, to be law enforcement, to know the rulings, know the laws, know how to run the jail. I saw in his interview with you that he's not looked over the jail standards laws. I already know the laws. I dealt with him. I can tell you who's over the jail standards. Talked to him many times in the past. That I don't have to learn that stuff again, or learn it, because I already know it. Don't know everything, but I know most of it, and all I have to do is refresh. That tells me that I'm more than qualified to take that position. The people that do know me, the ones that, through the years that I took calls to them, calls for service, I know they appreciated me. That makes me feel good about myself, because that's what I strive to do. But going back to answer your question, one, what prosecutor is going to work with him? Two, he's running for an office that he's already said he's going to get rid of everybody. Well, when they're fully staffed, that's almost 100 people, 80 people, give or take. There's a lot of employees that work there, a lot of good employees.
Can you confirm that employees work in the building because it's locked? You cannot get inside?
That is, I have talked so much about that. What in the world? During Corona, they locked the front door. Okay, Corona's been over. I can't even, of course, I've been banned from the sheriff's office, by the way, which is very childish, but yeah, I'm not allowed on that property. But that's what I was told when I was thrown out of the office when I was down there for business, which I think is comical, no big deal. But they used to talk to me about possible federal cases, and they're not allowed to do that anymore. But
why not?
Because I've been banned by the current sheriff. When I filed for sheriff, he said no more, and they threw me out of the building. Very childish, sorry, very childish. But I don't know why the front door is locked. there's no reason. And the last time I was down there, I normally came in the back because I had access still. But they had cut a little slit in the glass at the front of the lobby, and that's how they dealt with people. And I'm like I said, I quit about 3.5 years ago. I actually walked out in the middle of the shift because of stuff. But I'm like, why is the front door still locked? There's no reason.
Taxpayer money pays for that building.
Correct. My taxes help pay for that building.
And so in the event of someone's in an emergency and they have to run to the sheriff's office for help, they can't get in through the door. If there's a murderer behind you, kidnapper behind you, you're running, you're trying to find help, you find yourself in that area. There's hotels right next to there. There's a
Correct.
McDonald's right next to there. You're a visitor, you're traveling, you
Truck
find yourself
stop
in the
right-
wrong
right there.
situation.
Mhm.
You can't get into the sheriff's building.
I know. The foyer, what is it? Maybe 4 feet wide by 5 or 6 feet. Well, 4 or 5 feet deep and maybe 6 feet wide. And then there's a locked door. There's no reason that front door is locked. None. Now our dispatch used to help with people walking in, but there's ladies that sit right there, and that there's a window to the front office, and that's where everybody used to come to conduct business. But they were inside the lobby, and there's not a reason for that door to be locked. That it honestly baffles me.
The Lonoke County Detention Center has faced allegations over the years, as you just claimed. Misconduct claims, lawsuits, concerns about inmate safety. Have you reviewed any of those cases? Are you familiar with any of them?
Just talking. Those are generally federal lawsuits. I do, for my own cases, look on, I can't even tell you the name of the website. It's not like Court Connect. And it's really hard to navigate, even when you have knowledge of the case, to locate my own cases. I have not looked at from that site, that court site, at the stuff. Now, some of it's been posted on this last one. The whole lawsuit was placed on Facebook, and I read it, and it just made me want to throw up. And I guess there's several ladies involved with it, or that filed this lawsuit. And because I told my family, who's watching the jail? I know they've got a lot of kids running around who are not even trained correctly, but you've got to have somebody overseeing these people. I don't know if they're going back there or not, but it kind of tells me from my experience, they're not. They might run through, to the intake and back, but there's nobody watching what these employees are doing. And like I said, that's going to be a mess. I know how to fix it. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to start at midnight when whoever sheriff, if I get it, I'm sworn in at midnight by one of the judges, and I'm starting it to implement things right then and there.
So wouldn't it, if this is a whole departmental issue and you have things falling off on every level, Aaron Spencer's claim that he would get rid of everybody. Do you know people who actually work at the sheriff's office? I mean, it's locked, so we don't know who's there and who's not. We can't get anywhere.
I do know people that are there. I know
Is there a divide in the sheriff's office that you know
I don't want to tell on them, but yes, 100%. It's like I said, they're totally demoralized. They're going to get in trouble for me saying this. I don't want them to get fired, but like I said, there really are, to the citizens of Lonoke County, and I really don't like the word citizens because I'm a citizen too. The public, that live there. I want them to know that there are great employees down there. Not all of them, but there's a lot of them that truly care, that want to do a great job. But they are beat up right now. It's the leadership. There's just so much to it that I couldn't even cover it in a week. Things that went on.
So if elected, with all these issues that we've just talked about, what would you do differently?
In what regard? The sheriff's office, I understand I'm running for sheriff, but there's issues. One, first and foremost, the guy that lost the memory card to this camera. I don't want to say too much about it, but I do know that he has the contents of that memory card on his computer. But you can't use that in court, right? So he has lost, even though he says, because I haven't seen it, don't want to see it, because it doesn't pertain to me. There was nothing on there. It didn't show anything, is what I was told. But what has happened is it put doubt in the public who we serve. It put doubt in their minds. Hey, something's being covered up, right? And I believe him that there was nothing on that. I do. But he committed a policy violation that I don't think he can overcome. Does that make sense? I think he's a good detective, but you can't overcome that, not in a homicide trial. We make mistakes. I make mistakes. How in the world do you lose something that important? Even though nothing's on it, it's still important for the case file. It's just lackadaisical, and it was lazy, sloppy, and it shouldn't have happened. The detectives that they do have, I would have to really look at that immediately. Well, if I got elected, I would have 2 months to really get back down there. There's no sense in FOI and everything and harassing the ladies up front. I would be down there, not every day because I am still working, but I would be down there and I would be looking at everything. Is there anybody that needs to go? Yes, there is. Who's in the right positions? I know they need more detectives. They have a street crimes unit that how I was recruited by this federal agency is I ran the street crimes back then. Totally different people. They're all gone now. They came and recruited us because of the things that we were getting into. We got into a really big case. Unfortunately, it fell through the cracks, but that wasn't our fault. It wasn't the federal agency. It just fell through the cracks. But we got their attention, and then all of a sudden, the main supervisor in Arkansas at the time showed up at the office and said, I want to bring you guys on as task force officers, and that was flattering. But they currently have, my understanding it's still in force, is this street crimes unit, but you never hear what they do. Speaking
of street crimes, Lonoke County sits on a major interstate.
Yes.
It's a known corridor for narcotics, including fentanyl.
Correct.
It's widely known that there is a drug problem in Lonoke County.
Mm-hmm.
If elected, how would you fix this?
That's the $20 question. Right now, the I-40 in Lonoke County is not part of what's called HIDA. And that's where the federal government throws money. Well, They assist with financing these certain positions out there. It is not part of that. It needs to be. Even the state troopers that work there that were on their interstate criminal patrol at the time were saying that it should be. I don't think that it's the sheriff's office job to be out on the interstate all the time. That is state police. They've got plenty of help. They have people that are specialized in interdiction.
But the interstate does pass through the county.
Correct.
And so from anywhere on the interstate, you can go elsewhere into the county.
Absolutely.
That would be how the drugs get infused into the community.
Correct.
So drugs can cost people who already don't have money to go into debt. It ruins families. It causes major crime. Those things that the sheriff's office can control. Do you think they're doing a good job controlling that right now? If yes, tell me, or if no, tell me what you would fix.
I know that I don't hear about very many drug arrests like it was when we had the other street crimes. We were very active making traffic stops. We didn't write a lot of speeding tickets, don't care anything about that. We're looking for the bad guys. And the fentanyl mainly, the amount of overdoses are incredible, like it is everywhere. But you are right, they get off there in Lone Oak mainly, and then there's a truck stop that's in Carlisle. Those can be worked by specialized, not necessarily by patrol, because that's not their function. Yes, they can get out and find it, but
So you'd have to have partnerships at the state and federal level.
100%. I've already decided in my mind, if I'm elected, I'll have to drop off what I do with the federal government. I'm not an employee, but I'm assigned to this federal agency. I want to put two people in my position. One of them is ICAC. I want to find the best person that has the mentality to work ICAC, and that's Internet Crimes Against Children. And I've talked about this since I've left, because they need that. But the other one would basically take over what I do, and then they already have someone tied to doing the task force officer with the DEA, and that is a very large group. I don't think he or the individual in that position needs any more. DEA's got a lot of task force officers. The resources are unbelievable. The access through the court systems. It's got to be constitutional, and everything I've ever seen with these guys that I work around are 100% Constitution. I know I don't like the federal government either. I'm kind of anti-government, if you want to know the truth about it. I like small government, but these guys are wonderful. As far as what they do every day, they're well trained. They're very knowledgeable, and it continues on. So I don't have a problem with putting people like me to take my spot and help out, because it helps everybody out.
I want to talk to you about office duties and duties to the public. Mm-hmm. This is not pertaining to me, not my experience, but we have heard from several members of the community in Lonoke County. I want to ask you, do you know the time day limit to return a FOIA request?
I think, don't you have to respond because they have someone trained in that? Isn't it like 3 days? It's 2 days or it's 3 days. I'm not 100% sure that you have to respond. So I do know or business days maybe. I do know that the lady has recently retired, but they've got somebody else trained in it. Has responded, hey, this is going to take me a little bit longer, and I think that's legit. I fully believe that that's legit because it is being responded to. But yeah, I want to say it's like 3 days. It's not very long.
Going back to our partnerships with state and federal agencies, what's your plan to strengthen those relationships, and how are you going to do it?
Well, to be honest, it's really easy. They hopefully still have the strong partnerships. The state police, at least at the time that I was there, had an office in there, which was the interdiction team. They would come in. There's a shop out back that they would use. They had their own tools, but to search cars within their guidelines, and the partnership should still really be strong with the state police. Honestly, I don't know how it is right now, but I'd be willing to bet it's still strong as far as they're concerned. And of course, the federal people. I know at one time the marshals pulled all their federal inmates from the jail. I wasn't having anything to do with the jail, but I had already left that, but they pulled them all out because it wasn't being ran correctly. I don't think I want federal inmates back, but I mean I deal with the U.S. Marshals all the time. In fact, they're helping hunt down one of my people that are hiding right at the moment. But the partnerships, that's easy. That's very easy. I know the director, the colonel. He's got all kinds of titles nowadays. My father was a trooper that was killed in the line of duty, and I've grown up with the state police. They're wonderful people, most of them. I'm going to say all of them, but there's a couple people that people are mad at, rightfully so on one. But yeah, the partnerships, that's easy. That's easy. I already know them, and yeah.
Are you in support of the prison being built in Franklin County?
I really am, but there needs to be programs like the PAC program. I'm hardcore over the PAC program. I've seen the difference that it makes in most people that go through that program. As far as that prison, just putting somebody in a cage doesn't work. In fact, in a lot of ways, it just makes them worse. And then these long time incarcerations, you institutionalize people, and they don't know how to behave when they're out. That's all they know is prison life, and most of that is continuing the criminal element, which I firmly believe most is drugs and alcohol related. Some people are just mean, but
could sexual predators also be involved in that? Do you think that a sexual predator being locked up for however many years and then released back into the public, do you think they've changed their ways?
To be fully truthful with you, no. I don't think you can rehabilitate them. I really don't. I've never seen it. And that was being back in the jail, my experiences through the years. If there's a way, me as being sheriff, I don't have a clue other than just keep putting them in jail. The system lets them out.
So you would advocate for maybe higher bonds, stricter bonds, later releases. The sheriff really can't make those decisions, but would you advocate for that?
I absolutely would. I'm going to say this because it needs to be put out. I'm not taking up for the judge that got removed over the Spencer case, but she didn't do the first appearance on Fossler. She did not set the bond. It was another judge, a district judge, but she got demonized over it. And there's so much misinformation just because it gets put on social media. A large amount of people say, "Ooh, that's true." It's not true. And I searched that from Court Connect, Arkansas Court Connect, and I looked at his case, and it plainly says the judge that did that.
Who's the judge that did that?
Teresa Smith. She's the Southern District, Lonoke County judge. But it was a lot higher than what that normal bond would be. I don't recall. It seemed like the normal bond is like $25,000, and I think she went to 40 on it, which when you have that much evidence, and I don't know what evidence it's in there, but a lot of it you can't open to read on him because it involves a juvenile, and they've closed the case because he's dead now. But I know Cabot, and I know that they do good work. They don't do sloppy arrests, and I would be willing to bet that they had a strong case against him of the incident that happened. I would use the power of a sheriff is they do statutorily have quite a bit of authority. Some of it's a little bit scary because it's too much
Too much if used in the wrong way, I'm assuming.
100%. Some of them are like really old laws that a sheriff is capable of doing that a police chief or the lower law enforcement can't do, but an elected sheriff can. Setting up roadblocks, he can do that. That came up a long time ago, and I had to research it because I thought it was illegal. I got told to do this, right? And I'm going to question stuff like that because I'm going to abide by the Constitution. But as far as the bonds, something's got to give. And like I said earlier, the Sheriff's Association in Arkansas is very strong. The National Sheriff's Association is extremely strong, powerful. The lawmakers listen to them. And that would basically make me a part of that, and I would fight for that, and I would keep the public in the know. This is what's happening. If they say no, I'm going to tell the public, hey, Sheriff's Associations, they're not touching it. I don't believe that they would say that, but keep the public in the know of what I'm doing. The bonds need to be higher. It really kind of depends on the...
Because apparently, to bond out, I don't know because I don't own a lawnmower, but apparently the bond would be the price of a lawnmower.
Well, apparently bonding out on second-degree murder is the price of a lawnmower too. They all need to be, violent crimes need to be raised. I am still going to advocate. In my current position, I'm kind of a peon, luckily, and the lawmakers are not going to listen to me. But I know in the federal system, when people make bond down the road, they're assigned a probation officer, is what they're called in the federal system. And to my understanding, every time they get an ankle monitor that's GPS, and it's monitored, they're watched. If they violate any part of it, they're very restrictive. That's what I've seen in my cases. Very restrictive.
You think Michael Fossler was given an ankle monitor?
I'm sure he wasn't. I don't know, but
I'm sure if he had been given an ankle monitor, this probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know his thought. I think he was just a predator. I don't know. Now, I know with the GPS monitor, you can set up a geofence, and it will alert whoever's monitoring that system, hey, this person's outside. And I'm 1,000% behind that. We've talked about that through the years. It takes a judge's order, and they would not do it over in Lonoke County.
Why not?
I don't know. The judges just would not do it. And they do it over in Pulaski County, because back in the day I worked over here, and on violent crimes, not every time, but a lot of times, if they were able to bond out, it was judge ordered that they had an ankle monitor.
So is there not enough personnel in Lonoke County to monitor the situation? Is it too expensive? What do you think is the reason?
No, the inmates pay it. It is kind of expensive, but that's on them. If a judge orders as part of a bond that you have to pay for this, it doesn't cost the county anything. The taxpayers, I mean, you know, the city's got people in jail too. It doesn't cost the taxpayers anything. It costs them, and as it should.
So are they not assigning it to them because maybe that person cannot pay? I mean, that's kind of besides the point.
Well, you know, the larger bonds, you could argue all the way around. It's not a perfect system. The larger bonds, only the wealthy people can bond out. The poor people can't. It's the same thing, and I don't remember the GPS back when I had anything to do with it, or I didn't have anything to do with it, but when I was around it, I want to say it was like $30 a day. I mean, it's not cheap, but with that, there's a service that oversees that, and we give them the paperwork of the restrictions. Hey, you can't go here at dark. You got to be home. You can go to work, but because you're pretrial, you're not convicted yet, and so you still have your freedom, your rights, but make it restrictive. That's the way it should have been the whole time. I'm so sorry that he got out, and put a lot of people in this bad situation. I really feel bad for the daughter. I do. That's the worst thing in my heart, is that daughter.
But it's, you know, as you said before, it's not just in Lonoke County, and it's not just this case. This case has just been highlighted, spotlight.
Yeah.
There are predators out there that no one knows about. There is no spotlight on them. They are still in the dark. How is the sheriff's office, if you get elected, going to find these people and hold them to justice?
It takes people reporting it. That's where all that comes from.
And people would have to trust the sheriff's office to report it, though.
Absolutely.
Do you think people would trust the sheriff's office right now?
Right now, no. I do not at all. And that's why I'm running. I'm not a politician, and it's very uncomfortable for me to be running for some political office. I don't mind saying that. I don't. I've talked to my family so much about it. Why in the world am I doing this? Because I know I can fix it. I know I can make it better. I deserve to be proud of my sheriff's office. They deserve to be proud of their sheriff's office, and right now they're not. They're not at all.
The sheriff doesn't just oversee deputies on patrol. He runs the county jail. And many say that's the toughest part of the job.
I agree.
What experience do you have managing a detention center?
Well, I did that one for, like I said, 10 to 11 months. I'm a patrol guy, I always have been. I asked for it. I was assigned to that just about four to 6 months before it opened. In fact, it was still under construction. I started, going over the things that needed to be done. I know about the jail standards, laws, and rules and procedures. I wrote all the procedures for that current jail. I actually had some state inmates that were doing, they were trustees that came out and did the flower beds and stuff when it got to that stage. And I had them go through and give, hey, it needs to be done this way. And people were like, oh, inmates are, no. I had the newer employees that I had hired, it's 22 of them, I think, operate that jail, go through the doors, there's a control tower there, and test the system before any inmates that were pretrial or had been just recently convicted come into that jail. I dealt with the budget at that time. It was like $1.3 million. and that was cleaning supplies, that was manpower. I took care of all that. That's actually pretty easy.
So if I were to ask you if you're qualified based on past experience, you would say?
I'm absolutely qualified. Like I said, I'm a street cop. I had worked in Pulaski County Jail for 2 years under Randy Johnson. They didn't have any patrol slots. Randy Johnson was one of the old sheriffs back in the day. And I was a certified deputy. I was waiting when I went to work there. I was waiting for a patrol slot to come open, and to be honest with you, I kind of liked it, and I stayed for 2 years. And it wasn't too bad, even though when I first went to work there, on the way to work, I was physically sick at my stomach, nervous, because I'm not a jail guy, and but once I got used to it, there at Pulaski County, you're in with the inmates, and if you mistreat them, they're going to tell you about it. And I never had any problems, and it taught me how to deal with people. It taught me that sometimes good people do bad things. They're not all monsters. In fact, the majority are not monsters, that do property crimes and stuff like that.
Have you ever been in a situation where it could have been deemed as you mistreated an inmate?
No. And yes, there are rumors of that. And my answer to that is, what people don't believe, because it is a smaller sheriff's department, and I was a captain, that a lot of that was kept from me. But a lot of that was kept from me because I'm sure it was known that I don't go that direction.
What direction?
The abusing people. But I did start noticing stuff. I'm not stupid, but I had my own duties. And then I started noticing stuff. And the one person I would imagine that you have read about me is 100% false and is made up. Out of all the federal lawsuits coming out of that jail, and honestly, I was seeing they were delivering 1, 2, 3 a day up there for the sheriff, and sometimes there was other employees. I was never named in one, ever. I didn't beat up, I didn't mistreat, and there's nobody that would truthfully tell that I did. I've been accused of purchasing expired food by one. It's just an employee that I had high hopes for that did not work out and was forced out. And in the food that she's talking about, it was 30 days before the freeze buy date, and the secretary purchased that because she purchased everything like that. I never, to this day, purchased food in that jail. So it's like I said, by golly, if it's on social media, it's correct. There's so much misinformation. Some of it's because they support my opponent. That's the ones that's cussed me and called me names and
By your opponent, which one do you mean?
Spencer. His, and every one of them, there's one in particular that has cussed me like a dog, and in my 30 years, I've never been treated like that. I've been cussed out by them. I've been called names.
Just to clarify, these people you think are supporters
I
of
know
Aaron
they
Spencer?
are. I know they are, because if you look on their Facebook, a lot of them don't even live in the county, but there are a couple that do live in the county, but they've got Aaron Spencer pictures everywhere. Their relatives, their friends, I don't know who they are, but you click on their Facebook and they've got Aaron Spencer signs as backgrounds. I know they are.
So just to clarify, you have never mistreated anyone in the jail?
No.
Prisoner, employee?
No. There's a couple employees that are mad at me for decisions that I had to make, but mistreat, no.
Sexual assault investigations in this county have raised a lot of questions. How would your administration, if you won the race, handle those cases?
Well, I mean, the process is the same. And she got kind of beat up, and the sergeant that's in the CID is one of the best sex crimes investigators around. She's been doing it way too long. They need to kind of pull her out from that because it's too much for a person to do. But she's one of the best around, and I know that the other one that she had trained has moved on to another department. But yeah, there needs to be more than one. But the procedure, the laws, how to take it to a successful prosecution, they're the same.
We talked with one of your opponents earlier. He said he would implement something called the SAFE Act.
I'm glad you asked about that.
Is there some sort of process that you would also implicate?
Well,
in addition to investigations that are by law?
First, what I want to say along those regards, I applaud him for wanting to do something. Hands down. He wants to hire an advocate, a victim advocate, I think is what he called it, from the sheriff's office. There's a little known fact that if it's a government employee, as an advocate, whatever that victim tells them is required to be turned over to the prosecution and ultimately the defense. He doesn't need to do that. Wonderful idea. It makes us feel warm and fuzzy. Cannot do that. There are private companies, there are professional advocates for people that do not work for the government, that what is said to them stays with them. He's got to be really careful with that. Because, give you an example, a rape case, and I'm making this up, this hasn't happened, well, yeah, it really has. If a victim says, well, maybe I didn't tell him to stop, an advocate that is a government employee is required to turn that over to the defense, well, through the prosecution to the defense, and it can dink your case up bad. So he's got to be careful on that one. Now, he talked about the ankle monitor. Man, we talked about that for years, and I'm not above making a judge mad. This is what needs to take place. All it is a form for them to sign. That's got to take place on violent crimes. Got to. The bonds, violent crimes.
Would you be an advocate for every child sex predator?
100%.
If they bond out, having an ankle monitor?
100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to carry it farther. Any violent crime against a person, absolutely. They've got to, this day and time, they've got to be watched. We have the technology, and it wouldn't cost the county anything. Now, if they're indigent, now that I'm thinking about it, it might cost a little bit. You know, the judge might order it. You never know what a judge is going to order. But I don't care. They've got to be monitored.
If they don't bond out, in a prison jail setting, if there are, we have heard open door policies where the men can visit the female cells, females can visit the male cells. In a setting like that, no one can give consent. Correct. For sexual activity. It is, if that happens, it's considered rape.
Absolutely.
There are several allegations that this is happening in Lonoke County. Mm-hmm. Do you know that to be true?
I do not. I do not. Do I doubt it? I don't doubt anything over there right now. Like I said earlier, it makes me sick to my stomach. It has nothing to do with me running for sheriff. As a cop, as someone that dealt with that over there in the overwatch that was done. I didn't micromanage, but you have to overwatch. You have to have good, strong supervisors, not kids. Not, they've had people that were placed in supervisor roles, and I do know this for a fact, they've been there for 2 weeks. And I'm like, and they haven't even been to jail standards because turnover rate's too high.
Why is the turnover rate too high, do you think?
The morale, the pay is getting there. I'm going to use Pulaski County again. They're not jailers at Pulaski County, they're deputies. And you have detention deputies and you have enforcement deputies. They have their line items, but they're budgeted, and the pay is identical. They have a pay range. They're identical. Now, it's a huge place, and it's hard to keep manpower in a place like that, but the 10, 11 months that I had that jail, I was able to recruit a little bit older people that had been professionals that wanted a career change. I had a paramedic that was a detention person, and it was honestly, they were like a family. They did everything to the best of their knowledge and abilities, but a lot of it, you have to have good leadership. You have to be a good leader, not cursing and yelling at people constantly, and you have to have the best people that you can get recruited into those positions. But morale, it kind of boils down to morale. That's everything.
Back to that situation that I mentioned, there's accusations that are being made that is happening.
The sexual assault, yes.
Mm-hmm. If it is happening and you were elected, how would you fix it?
I would arrest them, 100%. And I would pitch the biggest fit. I think 2 of them, and I don't know when it happened, but it was in the last year. 2 of them were able to plea out to a lesser charge. That's what I've been told. Because, from Facebook, because, if it's on Facebook, it's real. That's what I was told. And I about fell out of the chair. I would pitch the biggest fit. That is no. And that has nothing to do, sheriff's office is not over that. But I guarantee the daggum elected sheriff can jump up and down enough that he can be heard.
Let's say that happens, and a male inmate goes into a female inmate's prison cell or wherever they're meeting, and that female inmate becomes pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
That situation shouldn't happen in the first place.
Correct.
What if it does?
Well, you have to. I'll give you an example of when I hired, he had been a sergeant at the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Got sweet on one of the female inmates, and he started sneaking stuff in. Tylenol, ibuprofen, stuff that's not allowed, nothing drugs or anything like that. I arrested him myself. I put the case together, and when I interviewed the female, she said, I just wanted to see how far I could get. And and this guy had been a sergeant. He had experience in the prison system. But I always, when I did the trainings for the jail standards, jail standards is what, 120 hours, 130 hours now, give or take a few. No, I added several, a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, the best that I could, on top of that, because an employee in a facility like that, anybody of authority towards an inmate, anybody incarcerated, if you just rub their cheek, can be sexual assault, and you become a sex offender. And I explained that to him. I don't think it's even being explained to him. I think they got a bunch of kids working in there that sees this cute girl and she's playing games with him, because that's what it is. And maybe they're looking for a girlfriend and they don't realize the seriousness of what they're doing. They should, but this day and time, it has to be explained to them. Look, dude, I'm going to get you. This is what's going to happen if you do these things. And I think that would stop some of it too. But 100% hold them accountable, and I don't have a problem with arresting them.
So then you would guarantee the safety of inmates, especially women, inside the facility?
To do my absolute best. Jails are dangerous. Things happen. But I promise them everything will be done to ensure that. Like I said, jails are dangerous. Fights happen. People get hurt sometimes. But it wouldn't be from being lackadaisical and lazy.
Have you studied the Arkansas's laws and regulations that govern county jails?
Yes.
How thoroughly?
I studied them hardcore when I was over the jail. Now, it's been a few years, but yes, most of it's constitutional. It's pretty easy to understand. You know, so there's suicide watch that you have to watch them every 15 minutes. Other than you can't, if they're pre-trial, prejudged, you cannot take any extra from them without an impartial hearing. That's a law that's in the jail standards. There's a lot to it.
So the citizens of Lonoke County should feel confident that you are familiar with laws and regulations that cover the county jails.
100%. 100%. I think the citizens of the county, there's that word, but the public, because I'm a citizen too, I'm a taxpayer, citizen, I want it run right also because I have family there. They need to know that guy knows what he's doing, and they'll learn, the ones that don't know me, they'll trust me. They will trust my it's an office, but the department, because I was a part of that in the past. And I have people now that trust me in my current position. I know I can do it as sheriff.
Have you reviewed the sheriff's office budget? And if so, where would you make changes, cuts, additions?
I have not. I was part of the budget process before. I know how that's done. I did hear a figure the other day that I don't think it's right. Was it $9 million? Which is astronomical to me, but you know, they passed that tax. And you know, the sheriff's office is still in the 1800s as far as technology, but I know how to do the budgets. I know the processes to bring that, and since it's part of a tax, it can't be used anywhere else. Part of it goes to, I think half of it goes to the jail, half of it goes to the sheriff's office side of it. And it cannot, since it was voter done, you can't say, all right, county, here's this money back. It can go into an account, because I do have an account for it, you know, for these things. Like I said, it's the smaller things.
Do you think the budget is being mismanaged right now?
I don't know. I'll give.
Do you think it's being used at all?
Oh yeah, it would have to be. The biggest gator in the pond is the employees.
Aside from the employees and their paychecks, payroll, you've said yourself there's not as many investigations being done as when you were involved, or even a few years ago.
There's not
crimes on the streets.
There's not enough investigators. They stay busy. But they need more. But I do know that there's a lot of extra that I don't think they are producing, probably because they don't know how. This street crimes, I've been asking that for a year. What are they doing? I know how it was when I was involved with that. I never hear about that, ever.
So is there funding that is not being allocated to training for that, possibly? Or is the want not there? Is the need not there? Is the standard not there?
I think it's the standard. And I don't think they have the experience. Having a lot of new people is detrimental. You have to have, you need to keep your employees, especially as they get experienced. Huge turnover rate. And it just shouldn't be that way. And like I said, it goes back to a morale thing. It's not so much the pay, it's the morale that's currently there.
Transparency has been a big concern for the residents of Lonoke County. What does transparency look like under a Sheriff Bufford?
It's actually Bufford.
Bufford.
But I'm good.
Let me redo that question. Let me redo that question. Transparency has been a big concern for residents of Lonoke County.
Yes.
What does transparency look like under you?
Open and honest. If some of the bigger incidents that has happened in the past, the public wants to know, I was always the one saying, let's release the information. The reason the Aaron Spencer situation got so big is the prosecuting attorney, right, wrong, or indifferent, never releases information, ever. And once an arrest is made, what's it going to mess up? You know, the transparency, what has been brought up is because the comments were turned off on the county's Facebook page. But if you look, every government agency has turned the comments off, because I think it is too easy and unfortunate that these people just it's too easy for that person to bring up stuff that is not true and just to bash, to be ugly, to name call. I would open the comments back up, because that's one way to get the pulse of what the people want, right? But I have always been the one, in fact, I did it too soon and got in trouble for it. I released as PIO a 911 call of a homicide, a kidnapping, and a stabbing. There was somebody thrown off the 430 bridge. I don't know if you remember, as like right before Christmas. In fact, it was Christmas Eve night. Big mess. And I ultimately, as PIO, released that 911 call, because the arrests were made. I got in trouble for that by both the current sheriff and the prosecutor. He got mad that I released that. And it was just the girl calling 911, whispering. There was nothing to it. I'm an open book, always have been.
Why do you think you got in trouble for it?
I got in trouble. It was bad. I don't know.
What's the reason? Is there, I myself have been in a courtroom with a judge that has denied cell phones, electronics, which that's normal. In the event, we have the right to come out of that courtroom, come outside to our car, and update the public.
Yes.
It seems that's not allowed in Lonoke County. It can seem that way. That's
no.
Some complaints that we were told about.
I know. I know who made the complaints. And I'm really not taking up for the judge. When all that first broke out after the incident, the arrest, it started making worldwide news because Australia, Canada, it's been there. India, it's been everywhere. There started to be, and this is from what I saw from the outside, a lot of people starting to make the comments. There are a lot of threats. I know the public does, some of them does not believe, but the judge is being threatened. The sheriff's deputies, their lives are being threatened. It's unfortunate, it's stupid to do that, but it's being done because people are passionate about this incident. I disagree with the initial, the gag order, because I don't like those. Under that circumstance, even the governor got on the news and said, the way that it was written, and I don't know how it was written, I'm just going by what I've heard and saw, that if I speak about it, I'm breaking her rule. That's crazy. That shouldn't, I don't know, that was wrong. She was wrong on that type of gag order. I think that I understand what she was trying to do to get some of the misinformation, because it interferes with the jury pool, 100%. You know, the jury pool probably is pretty much done in Lonoke County.
You think the gag order made that worse, though? Wouldn't more people want to know about it?
I think that it brought a lot more attention to it. Do I think it was wrong to that extent? 100%. It sounds like it was very broad. Like I said, I've never read it. I'm just going by what I've read. It's on Facebook. It's real, right? And I don't know. I really, honestly don't have much of an opinion on that, because that's a court thing, or official stance on it, whatever you want to say. I do have opinions on it, but yeah, I'm not. She needs to, well, the judge, everybody has a vested interest in this case, and I think it needs to be, I want it to be publicized, because I'm curious, and it has nothing to do with me running. I know what has been put out. I've been told of some information that has not been put out, and that is absolutely not my story to tell. I don't know how true it is, hearsay type stuff, but you know, part of court proceedings.
Well, the judge is no longer the judge on the case,
Yeah.
on the trial. And just this one case has put a spotlight on Lonoke County and the officials in any capacity that run the county.
Yeah.
May that be the sheriff, the police, the judge, the prosecutor. Everybody involved in this, there's a light on.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people in charge. That's a lot of people making important decisions that the public, from what we have heard, do not trust. There is a
Absolutely.
lot of distrust in Lonoke County right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you got elected, you'd be in a pool of all.
They're putting me in that pool now because I work there. Just because I work there, I'm not a part of that. And I've said that all along, and everybody that knows me, that's worked around me, knows I'm not a part of that, never have been a part of that. And to this case is not the totality of what's being said on Facebook. The mainly two people has been doing this for years. Well, actually there's three people that were involved. One has backed off and is after Benton Police Department now. And I was actually talking to those people. One in particular that's after Benton Police Department, Arkansas First News or whatever. And I contacted him, got his phone number in my cell phone. And I was like, hey dude, you're right on this stuff.
Who is that person?
Oh, you're getting me in trouble. He's the one after Benton Police Department and the banditos and stuff. Because I like the guy, I do. But I called him and I said, hey man,
The Banditos and the Benton Police Department?
Arkansas First News.
Is that Jimmy Cabin?
And anyway, I called him on his cell phone. And, well, this person. And I was like, you're wrong on this part, but you're right on this stuff. And I even gave different information, more, from the beginning when I was still there. You know, people was like, how come you didn't say anything? Well, these people were bringing it up. I'm not one to get on Facebook and bash people. It's not. It's childish. But then he got mad at me. And I'm like, so facts, not fiction. I don't. But anyway, so I backed off that, right, wrong, or indifferent. But the two main people had been beaten up on the Lonoke County, demonizing people. And I know one of them extremely well. I call him a friend. He is a friend. I don't know why there's such hatred there. But some of that's not correct. They're making mistakes with the things that are being said. And I want to fix that. I want to be a part of that fix. Now, yes, there are some elected officials there that need to go. There are. They've been in those positions too long. And you just can't remove an elected official. It needs to be easier.
You believe in term limits?
Yeah, there's term limits now.
Stricter term limits? Would you advocate for that?
All the way up the chain. All the way to the federal Congress, senators, 100%, 1,000%. You shouldn't be in some of those positions for 40 years.
Do you think that if you stay in a position like that for too long, you become complacent?
I think you can. I've worked for too many sheriffs that it becomes the by God, I'm the sheriff. And that is wrong. I'm looking at 4 years. I'm not going to be a career sheriff. I'm going to fix it.
And hand it off too.
And hand it off. I have somebody that I'm going to beg him to be my chief deputy.
Who is that?
Not going to do it. Can't. Can't, because he's running.
He's running in this race?
Yes. I will not say his name. I've already told him I'm going to beg him if I get elected.
In the Republican primary?
He's running. And
in the Republican primary?
He's running for sheriff of Lonoke County. And because I do think there's a law covering that, I can't say that. I actually think it's a misdemeanor, election laws. But it would be absolutely awesome if we could get together. We have the same ideas, the same desires. I've already talked to him about it.
As your chief deputy?
Yep.
Have you identified who you'd appoint to oversee the jail?
I have not. I've actually been thinking about that too. Like I said, I do believe there's some election laws when there's an election going on to offer positions, to even really talk about that. You can't do that because it falls under ethics and influence in the election.
You have 30 plus years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
That makes leadership choices critical. This person that you have in mind for chief deputy, do they have about the same amount of experience?
Yes.
Finally, if voters decide not to elect you, what's next?
I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I don't have to run for sheriff. I'm doing it because it needs to be fixed. I don't need this perceived authority. I mean, I just don't. I am way out of my comfort zone for running for sheriff. I'm not a politician. I don't like anything to do with it, but I have to be political to have that position. If they don't want me, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Perfectly happy with it. Keep going after the people that defraud the older folks and going after the child predators. There was a national case that I can't speak about, but everybody knows what I'm talking about. That was my case, that an individual went to Wisconsin. He had groomed a female. That's my case. Now, one of the full-time agents has spearheaded it now. But yeah, that was my case.
So since you've been kicked out of the sheriff's office, if you don't get elected, do you get to go back?
I seriously doubt it.
Or who makes that decision?
You know, I have been called Staley 2.0, and
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a bad thing. It's just, it was one of those supporters that we talked about earlier. I'm not a Staley 2.0. I'm my own man. Do I get to go back? No. The only reason that yes, I do have friends down there. Some of them I go camping with. I think the world of them, their whole family, one in particular. Wonderful Christian people. But no, I will not be allowed back down there under this current sheriff. So if he gets reelected, I don't know, maybe I'll just give up and retire. It's an option, but I don't want to retire.
How does that affect investigations, though?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you that the current sheriff went to my current mayor and my current police chief and has tried to get me terminated the day that I filed for sheriff. I have faced a lot with this decision, and I'm good with it because it's the right thing to do. But again, to answer your question, if I don't get sheriff, at least I gave options to the public. That's the only reason I'm there. I don't need this perceived authority. I just don't. I have the same authority as the sheriff does, really, like most law enforcement do. I don't need it. But I felt compelled to give that option. And I'm going to say again, I'm not putting down Mr. Spencer. I talked to him, told him, I'm not going to put him down. It's a horrible situation. But he does not have the knowledge to run a sheriff's office. Come be a deputy. He's never even thought about that. Come get hired at a police department. Get the training and the experience. You cannot step into that position. Dangerous if he got the sheriff. It really would. There's too much. When Staley took office, he got sworn in 30 minutes early because there was a homicide and nobody to work it. True story. Yeah. The judge came over and swore him in at 11:30. Now, by the time we got to the scene, it was 12 because it was a long ways off. But there was nobody to work it. We worked it.
David Bufford, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.